Wow, what rusty, beat up, orphaned old shotgun did Cranky Gun Reviews go and rescue this time around? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Well, I mentioned in my Remington 870 video that I had seen a Remington Model 17 at Cabela's that was in really rough shape, and I had debated buying it and thrown it back and forth. And after about, I don't know, it's probably been a month since I've seen this thing in the store. I've picked it up and held it a whole bunch of times. Every time I look at it, I tell myself, Cranky, this gun is even too rough for you. Why do you want this thing? And then it dawned on me, the whole reason I really want this Model 17 shotgun is because I want it to tell a story. The history of where, the progression of the pump shotguns have come from the big companies in the United States from the early 1900s up until like the 1940s, 1950s. That's why I really wanted this gun. Now, as I show these images, you can see that there is almost no bluing left on this gun at all. I ran the serial number, and these were produced from 1921 up until about 1933. Mine falls smack dab in the middle of that, somewhere around 1927 or 1928. This gun was produced, and it has seen some better days. Like I said, there's not a lot of bluing left on this. And when I got it home, I immediately took it apart and started looking it over. It had the crunchiest action I've ever seen. You can see here from the components that are coming out of the receiver that this thing was very rusty and full of grime and muck. The stock is cracked. The inside of the stock was full of mud and dried up powder from years and years of use. You can see here again on the inside of the receiver, it looks like it was full of some kind of greasy dirt and powder residue from years of shooting. The bolt and the disconnector on this thing were absolutely filthy. But again, this is a piece of American history. And this gun being made in the time period of the First World War, they actually postponed releasing this several years. They were originally going to release it in 1917. But with World War I coming about, they decided to wait and they didn't release it until 1921. So it has a little bit of history. It is a takedown model, similar to the Model 31 that I have, where the barrel spins off the top of it and it becomes two pieces. So you could, in theory, have different length barrels for this thing or different purpose barrels. Now, again, the fact that this gun is in such rough shape kind of lends itself to wanting to do a little bit of work to it, similar to what I did to my Ithaca Model 37. And they actually made a Model 17 police variant of this gun that had a 20-inch barrel, so methinks that's what I'm going to do. If you look at this rag, that was a clean white t-shirt before I started working on this thing, and after I was done, I'd actually gone through 3 t-shirts before I got this thing clean. You can see here on the barrel, Remington Arms Union Metallic Cartridge Company. This is back when Rem Arms was actually partnered with UMC even for their firearms, and it's just a great time period in history. So after getting this thing all cleaned up, you can see obviously I didn't fix the stock. I do have the capacity to buy a new stock for this thing. I believe Boyd's Gun Stock makes a replacement stock for this, and I'm looking at getting one of those because I don't really want to mess around with having a broken stock that's been glued and repaired. It's kind of annoying to do that kind of work. Now, in previous videos, I did mention that Ithaca actually kind of borrowed the design of the Model 17 when they made the Ithaca Model 37, and you can see side by side, these two guns are strikingly similar. And it's really because Ithaca did copy Remington's homework when they made the Model 37. If you remember back to my introduction video for the Ithaca Model 37, they actually had to postpone the release of the Model 37 because they had to wait for the patents on the Model 17 and a couple other shotguns that they copied the action from to expire. So yes, when you look at the Ithaca Model 37 and the Remington Model 17 side by side, they really are the same picture. I mean, other than a few small variances in them where you can see that the Ithaca Model 37 doesn't have as many screws on one side of the receiver where the serial number is on the Model 17. Realistically, they're almost exactly the same. They're both bottom eject. They have almost identical bolt setups, identical trigger setups. The stock inletting and everything is pretty much the same. But this Model 17, being that it was a later production, does not have a slam fire capability. So this shotgun actually does have a disconnector in the action Therefore, it's not exactly like an Ithaca Model 37. I can't slam fire this shotgun. And I think the early ones did actually have the slam fire capability because they marketed some of these for police and law enforcement. So I did buy this gun as a project, knowing that it's in pretty rough shape. It appears that everything inside the action, the trigger, the bolt, the disconnector, and everything does work properly now that it's cleaned out from all that years of gunk and mud and debris. So I do plan to shorten the barrel on this one down to either 18.5 or 20. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I do plan on getting a Boyd's gun stock for this and taking off the recoil pad so it just has a plastic butt plate more akin to the era, and just doing a little bit of cleanup work. If I can get the magazine tube off the receiver, I plan to reblue it, and I may reblue the barrel as well. So thanks again for joining Cranky Gun Reviews on another edition of Why Did I Buy This Old Shotgun, the Remington Model 17 from 1927 or 1928. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. God bless America. Support your 2A rights. Get out there and shoot. And you remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, remind them that freedom is the greater good.